Hi guys, and welcome to your daily tarot reading for Tuesday, the 22nd of June 2021. Thanks for joining me. I think this is called the Mythic Tarot. I'm going to choose 3 cards here to see what the tarot wants you to know about Tuesday, the 22nd, and what energy you'll be working with. So let's have a look at what the cards have to share. First, we've got the 9 of Swords. Okay. Death, and the Knight of Cups. Okay, so it's interesting because in terms of the astrology, we have Mercury, the communication planet, going direct today. And Mercury, when it's in retrograde, it can cause communication problems. But the message I'm getting here is that it can really signal a change in the way you think and the way you behave, and the decisions that you've made that you may not be particularly happy about. So when you're under pressure like this, when you've got a lot of negativity kind of imposing itself on you, you may be afraid that you're going to lose your position, or that or you read a situation incorrectly. Like someone who wants to be friends with you, you actually see that person as competition or as a threat. And because you see things in a way that isn't quite accurate, you then take actions or you behave in certain ways that really aren't aligned with who you really are. So you sabotage someone, or you spread a rumor, or you blacklist someone, or you take some sort of an action which is going to harm another person because you're struggling. So the pain kind of exudes from you. And then once that's happened and you kind of regain your sanity, when this pressure falls away or you start to see things accurately again, then you may regret that, and you may feel this need to atone for the things that you've done, or you may want to right some wrongs or correct the errors that have crept into your life. So that's the kind of vibe that I'm getting here, that you regain your true vision and that you see things clearly, and that you look to the past and you're like, oh, well, I didn't act very honorably there, or I'm not particularly proud of that, and I'm going to correct that today. So the 9 of Swords, we've got these 3 Medusa-like figures. They've got snakes as hair. They are holding these swords over this young man, and it's causing a lot of noise, and it's explosive, and it's threatening and dark and terrifying. And he's going into denial. He can't face this. He's closing his ears, so he doesn't want to hear what's being said. Swords are communication and ideas. So because there's been so much going on and it's been overwhelming, you can't really hear that well when you've got your hands covering your ears. So miscommunication, running away from things rather than facing them, not resolving problems and letting them grow and become bigger than they needed to have been. Like if there's some sort of sabotage going on, if you saw that for what it is, you could have nipped it in the bud and resolved it then and there. But if you can't face it and you run away from it, then it takes on a life of its own and it becomes a much bigger problem. So things may have been explosive and difficult, and because of the Death card, you're actually able to take those hands away from the ears, and you're able to listen to what's going on and to really connect with what is being said, what is being shared, and what the general atmosphere is like. You can kind of suss that out more clearly, and you can appeal to, or you not appeal, you get the sense of courage to put an end to things that you've let run riot, and things that shouldn't have been there. They're kind of running roughshod over your life and the lives of other people. And because you're using all of your senses now, you can actually say, okay, enough of this. I'm going to put a stop to it. So he's got this white robe on and these little sandals. So the white robe is about spirituality. It's kind of innocence. And in this case, I think it's a lack of practical skill in terms of how do I deal with things that aren't so spiritual? How can I deal with misinformation? I feel totally unprepared for that. The Death card is the opposite. So we've got this black cloak, and the black absorbs negativity. And we've got a helmet there as well in the covering the head, where most of the thinking is done and where communication happens and where you see and hear and speak and smell and taste, and that is covered. So all of this negative stuff isn't something that's terribly daunting or intimidating and completely overwhelming. It's something that you naturally absorb and you know how to deal with those things. So the death card is really an end to misinformation floating around and you being able to take charge of what's going on in your life and not being damaged by it as such. So it doesn't have the same effect. You're much stronger. Also, the size of these two figures, he's small and being kind of looked down on. He's huge and he takes center stage. So there's this shift in terms of your ability to deal with life problems as they arise and to really have compassion for yourself and for other people who have made mistakes, who haven't got it quite right. And you're not going to be as harsh or as reactive, nor are you going to blame yourself as much. You're much more interested in reaching out, taking action to correct mistakes, to right wrongs, and to start again. So it's kind of saying that, guilt is pointless because all you're doing is saying, oh, I messed up and I feel so terrible and aren't I a horrible person? And that doesn't really achieve anything. But if you have the presence of mind and the strength to actually say, do you know what? That someone deserves an apology here. Or I wrote an email and I need to take that back and amend it because it just came from anger and I misspoke. That really takes a lot of courage, and you kind of have to face the music and deal with the potential fallout. When you say, I was wrong, I misspoke, or I deliberately sabotaged something, or I made something up, or I really saw this incorrectly, and because of that, all of these other actions and events occurred because I didn't have the capacity to stop them. I just didn't want to speak up. I was afraid to be honest. I couldn't cope. And that takes real strength. So you have that strength today. Before the problems disappear altogether or before they are set in stone, you still have the ability to do something with them today, to reach out, to amend things, to make things right. And that compassion and understanding extends towards other people too. So that's interesting because if you put your hand up today and you say, do you know what, I made a mistake there, and the other person would usually rip your head off and you're afraid of that happening, you may be surprised that you get a really supportive and understanding response from someone who says, oh, okay, well, I'm not perfect either. I don't get it right all the time as well. Thanks for being honest, and at least you're attempting to make this right. So here we've got a queen giving away a crown. We've got someone here giving away his money, and here someone is giving this little flower. So she realizes that power and always being right hasn't really served her. He realizes that his security in life isn't money and isn't always being independent, but that sometimes he needs help too. And she realizes that if you're completely alone and if there's no love and if it's just status symbols and trying to make yourself bigger, then that's no fun either. So she's connecting and she's softening, and she's saying, I want someone to be interested in my life experience. A river is running through it, so the emotions are flowing again, and they support this whole process. And if something has been pushed aside or you've rationalized it, expect it to reappear, to raise its head today, and to kind of say, you know what, before you get started on this new path that you're on, please just look behind you and the carnage that's been left, and please try and sort that out before you move on. You have the strength, you have the ability to do it. And then finally we have the Knight of Cups. We have a young man who's riding along in this beautiful scene and he's looking for love. So the way to get back to yourself and who you truly are is to really brush those things aside. Well, not to brush them aside and to ignore them, but to resolve the things that have crept into your life where you weren't really yourself and you were behaving in a way that you don't like, and you can finish those off, and then it's a return to self, and you can really pursue things that you love and that bring you joy and that you adore, and you can add positivity to the world because you're your true self again. So it's a return to who you really are, which is a loving person who is doing the best they can in life, just like everybody else. But this really shows a lot of growth, because a lot of people who make mistakes don't want to fess up to those mistakes, nor can they admit to other people, let alone themselves, that they've done anything wrong. And really, if you're going to have genuine relationships, and if you're going to find something that is a true connection with another person or a place or a thing, then if you can admit your own wrongs, and if you have some personal insight into who you are, and you act with integrity, then other people can love you and they can respect you. It's very difficult to have a conversation with someone who never makes a mistake or who's never messed up in their life, because then they're on their high horse and you're down here in the gutter. It creates a major imbalance, and it's very difficult to get close to someone like that. So not only are you able to right some wrongs, but you're really able to return to this loving place that resides in you at all times, and you can clear your conscience, and you don't have to live in guilt, because you're able to amend things that you're not happy with, that don't sit right with you, and you don't have to kind of have those lurking in the background all the time, and you're looking over your shoulder trying to avoid things, and then you're always in fear and all of those things that come along with things that are unresolved. So it's a really good idea to do this work, because you can really clear the decks and give yourself a fresh start and really live a much more unencumbered life where you're much freer emotionally and you're much happier, because you don't have all these things dangling over you, intimidating you. So death is the 13th card in the major arcana. So 13 and 9 is 22, and 1 is 23, and oh wow, 2 and 3 is 5, and 5 is freedom in numerology, and that's come up so often lately, and we've really got the opportunity to free ourselves emotionally today and to let go of all the burdens that we're carrying around, simply by taking action to amend things that have gone wrong in some way, and that creates an emotional burden for you and possibly for other people. Oh, so emotional freedom, wow. Have a wonderful day. If you would like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on the book your readings button to order a reading with me. I use the tarot, astrology, numerology, and my intuition in my personal readings. To draw up your astrology chart, I just need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. And then I get a snapshot of the sky at the moment you were born. And it really tells me a lot about you and the choices you've got and what's destined for you and what comes easily and what you need to work on, strengths, weaknesses, spiritual development, work, life purpose. It really shows a lot of information. So if you want me to have a look at that, then please do get in touch via my website, gregoryscott.com. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and share the video online. Have a great day and a productive day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.